everybody, welcome to the Resistance broadcast. We have a news-packed show today for you on TRB. I am John, that is Lacey, and not only just some news, but for this podcast purpose, I'm going to call one of the stories affirmation of things we've been saying on this podcast for years now. And by that, I mean the Hollywood Reporter story about Ray and who's jockeying to get the Ray movies and all that stuff. We'll get into all that to unpack the nuance of whatever that report is. But a lot going on. But before we get into anything, Blue Sky has exploded since our last episode.
You've been waiting for this moment for weeks.
You know what it is? Right here. Right here. My finger is
on the pulse.
On the pulse. Oh my
god,
baby.
you're so lame.
I knew Blue Sky was going to be the one. You had your vines, your hives, your threads, your what was that other one? Mastodon. I'm like, these are all trash. And then Blue Sky came out. I'm like, that's the one. So follow us at same handle TRB podcast over on Blue Sky. We are going to start making that our primary posting station. Everything else is going to stay the same. Instagram, all that stuff we're doing is going to stay the same. But in terms of the Twitter, X, Blue Sky thing, Blue Sky is now taking over as our primary spot. So we're talking Resistance transmissions over there, giveaway posts, all that stuff. And we'll still post to Twitter because we have 10,000 followers there. And I'll be darned if I will let them take those people from us. So
yeah, it's getting a little sketch over there. Not gonna lie,
it's getting rough.
It's
just not. I don't ever feel good when I'm on there. I realize, and then I started going on Blue Sky, and I only have a couple hundred followers over there myself, and I have like 6,000 on X, but I'm getting more engagement and comments from people on Blue Sky. So I got shadow banned, whatever, on X, I guess. And here I am over on Blue Sky. But yeah, Johnny Hoey over on Blue Sky, Lacey Gilleran over on Blue Sky, TRB podcasts over on Blue Sky, and everything else is the same. So I'm just adding a new spot.
We've definitely had people asking us where we are on social media. We're on everything at TRB Podcasts, and then both of us are on pretty much everything. I'm at Lacey Gilleran on everything except TikTok, where it's Lacey Gilleran. But you can find the podcast on every social media platform, and we will be trying to update every single one, but we'll probably mostly be posting on Blue Sky, a little Threads, Instagram, and TikTok.
Yeah. And, a little Facebook now and then. But anyway, to anyone joining us live, thank you. We are doing Ask the Resistance later in the show. So if you have a Star Wars question you'd love us to chat about, whether it's about all the news that's come out recently, speculation on Skeleton Crew, whatever you got Star Wars based, pop it in the chat. Use the hashtag Ask the Resistance so we know you want that on the show, and we'll get to it later. Super chats are available. That will hyperspace you right to the front of the line. And if it's not a Star Wars question, we'll read that at any point in the show. And thank you for the support. We really appreciate it. And also thanks to all the people who bought some coffee, I guess, from Weird Brothers. I know Mike Ramori sent a picture of his bag. And check us out at weirdbrothers.com because we have a coffee, the Resistance Brew. 'Tis the season. It's a medium roast. It supports a small business, a business run by disabled veterans. They send proceeds to veterans, and you're helping out TRB too. And it's a good coffee. So win, 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 Michael Scott. Now, I think I covered all that stuff. By now, if you're listening, I hope you're subscribed to TRB on Apple, Spotify, your favorite podcast app, and of course, youtube.com/@TRB podcasts. But Lacey, there's a lot to get into. So is there anything you want to chat about? You and I hung out. I went to your birthday party.
Yep. And I realized after the fact that we have no proof that we did.
Yeah. What we should have done
really
was
bad.
You with your kids, me with my kids, and taking a nice little TRB family, photo of the generations that are going to take over once you and I have had enough.
I did read your letter to Archer. So I did this thing at the birthday party that you write a note to Archer and he gets it when he's 18. So Archer, if you're watching this before you're 18, turn it off right now. I did read your note and it was very sweet where you said, like, you are now the host of the Resistance podcast. It was very cute. But yeah, no, we got to hang out in person. It was wild. Johnny J5, your son, was just like body chopping animals. I had a party animal theme where it was like basically animals with party hats on, and little J5 was running around. He was like leading all the kids. He was like, "You run over here and you do this, and you do that." And it was John and I were just sitting there having a drink and cheersing each other. And
Yeah, right.
okay.
That was your first drink in a while too. Lacey got absolutely bombed. It was unbelievable.
Nah, I think I had half a margarita and called it a day.
Oh.
making everybody think I'm over here like getting it up.
This booze bag mommy over here.
Oh my gosh.
All right, Lacey, we have a lot to get into with these stories. We got one with the Force later.
We do.
A lot of tough choices to make on that one because we were going to use that last week, but we were talking so much about our stories that we pushed it to this week, and I reread them, and I was like, why did I write those?
They're tough.
They're tough cookies. And then, of course, Ask Resistance at the end, as we said. So let's kick it off right now with the Resistance Report.
It's the Resistance.
Right. It is the Resistance. Thank you, Harrison. Lacey, before I get into the first story, I just want to remind people of our show that we're going to be doing covering Skeleton Crew called Galactic Goonies. And that's going to debut on Wednesday, December 4th at 8:30 p.m. East. So same TRB time, just how we do it with the live shows. When they release them on Tuesdays, we go live Wednesday nights. So Wednesday night, 8:30 East, Galactic Goonies. We got the shirts coming. A lot of fun stuff coming. Obviously, because this is a Goonies-inspired Star Wars show, we're going to do another code, treasure hunt, for a big grand prize. And a lot of guests and a lot of fun along the way. So make sure you tune in with us as we talk about the next iteration of live-action Star Wars. And come be a Galactic Goonie with me and Lacey on Wednesday nights. Or your favorite podcast app on Wednesday night at 1 a.m. whenever I get the audio.
And we're going to have guests and all that other stuff.
Really it's going to be great. It's going to be great. It's going to be really incredible.
Really great.
Lacey, something else that's been really great, people going absolutely bananas over a 10-second clip of Andor in a Disney Plus promo. I don't know if we have that to share here, but it looks like, yep, Lacey gets the work done. See? And
I do get the work done. You're welcome.
So here it is. A lot of fast, quick shots. Anything you want to take away from that 10-second snip?
I mean, the big thing for me was that K2SO showed up. I think that was the big moment. I know other things were talking about his outfits and, oh my gosh, there's more of this. And then Luthen's back and Bix looks like she's okay. But yeah, I'm hyped about K2SO. I couldn't be more excited. I was sad when he wasn't in season 1. And I'm happy the gang's getting back together.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting adjusting to that 3-episode cadence of year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, and I'm curious how they're going to end each trilogy of episodes for season 2.
Yeah.
But can you go back to that TIE fighter real quick, which I assume that is actually casting in the TIE fighter?
Yep, and the other thing to also mention, it is him in a TIE fighter. Wow. The other thing to mention is that they did announce along with this that Andor is coming out April 22nd.
That's right.
Of 2025, which was, I think, initially leaked on Disney Plus. They accidentally had it up on Disney Plus and people screenshotted it. I know I sent it out and was like, hey, look what's on here. And then they made the official announcement because once the cat's out of the bag, what are you going to do? Which I know you and I both thought the same thing immediately, which was Celebration is happening the weekend before. We're probably going to get to watch the first episodes there. They might even have a premiere there. It's going to have a huge presence at Celebration because it is coming out the following week.
Yes. I'd be shocked if that doesn't happen. Like with Obi-Wan, they did it in Anaheim.
Yeah.
But real quick on this TIE fighter, it looks like he clearly blows a hole through a wall. And I'm wondering, is he trying to get out of somewhere or in? Like, is he breaking out Kino Loy out of prison? Like,
That's a
Because
good
that would
question.
be, if you want to talk about heroes doing the hero move, Kino meant a lot to Cassian, obviously, and helped him survive. So it would be a very Han Solo coming back to help Luke in A New Hope thing if Cassian's like, "Oh, I got this ship. Oh, I'm gonna go help out my fellow prisoners," and he just
Mhm.
blasts a hole in the wall and gives them a nice little like one of those floaty rafts so that Kino can like slide down and get picked up
Mhm.
by a boat or something.
Mhm.
Because he can't swim.
I do love the shot where he's kind of strutting it. Ah, there it is. Look at that shot.
At the Yavin 4, which we'll get into, confirmed by Tony Gilroy. He's like, we got to go to Yavin, right? Before
Which,
Rogue.
yes, that totally makes sense that it's at Yavin because of Rogue One, but also they did give it away because we're going to get into it, but the Empire covers have Yavin on it. So,
Yep. So yeah, everyone went crazy over this. The hype is real for Andor season 2. I think most
mhm.
people expect it to match, if not exceed, what they took away from season 1. And it
Mhm.
is that darker, grittier Star Wars. If you're looking for creatures and laughs and fun, you're probably not going to pop on Andor. But its impact and its weight in that part of the timeline
Mhm.
makes it work. And it's a really well-made show, and I look forward to its return. And I know we're going to talk a lot about Andor here, and I found it interesting of how much about Andor has come out now, as we're only a couple of weeks away from the actual next Star Wars show.
Mhm.
But there's a lot to talk about with Andor. So you got the covers that came out from Empire.
You do.
Do we want to start there? We
Sure.
had there they are. So the main cover, the print cover, has Mon Mothma, Cassian, and the returning
Spoiler alert.
Orson Krennic is back, and we'll get to what Ben Mendelsohn had to say in this issue about what Krennic is going to be doing. And then there's the digital version, I believe, of the Death Star sort of fitting right inside the Rebellion logo. I'd like to see. I see that as it's almost like those ink blot tests. I see that as the rebels are like, "I got you. We got you." Like, you're not going to hurt our people anymore. Wrapping the rebels' arms around.
Mhm. And the pyramids from Yavin are there. That's what I
Yep,
was mentioning.
yep. Very cool. Very cool. What do you think about these covers, Lacey?
I mean, the biggest thing for me, once again, I hate to take away the spotlight from Cassian, but Krennic is on the cover here. That is a huge deal. And it's part of the story, too, where he gets into how he's not going to give them details. And he loves not telling anybody details, as in Ben Mendelsohn loves keeping the secrets. Big thing for him. But he loves being back. I think the thing that stuck out to me with Ben Mendelsohn in particular is they were comparing him to Deidre. And he said, Deidre versus Krennic, I think it's a bit of a mismatch. They're all underlings to Krennic. I
Mm-hmm.
just love how he is not letting anybody shine in front of Krennic, just like the character would be. Like, he's not going to let anybody seem like more of a big bad. And I can't wait to see what Krennic does to Deidre because he's not going to let her have any spotlight about anything.
Oh no! I mean, he tried to go toe to toe with Tarkin, so that if to put and he went straight to Darth Vader's house to talk to Vader. He's not afraid of Deidre
Yeah,
at all.
absolutely not.
Um, and I mean, we'll just get into it. We could bounce around here a bit, but now that we are
Yeah.
talking about Krennic, they did ask him if Tarkin is going to appear, and he said, I can't answer that." And they said, "Swerves Mendelsohn." And then he continued, "And I delight in not being able to answer your question. It's a beautiful thing." But him saying, "I can't answer that," I don't know. It is possible. Like if Tarkin's in this, he's going to be in a scene with Krennic. So I don't buy his second quote of, "And I delight in not being able to answer your question," unless he means I can't answer because of NDAs, which is also possible.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Do you think Tarkin's going to be in this show?
I think he will be, but not to a big extent. I think you're going to see like a couple shots of him, maybe a mention of him. I don't think it's going to play the role that he did in Rogue One.
Yeah, I mean, for the cost alone, it's expensive, and this show's already high budget.
Also, I hate this Empire logo in the lower right-hand corner where they're like trying to drag out the words to make it all fit in one little perfect square. It like really bothers me.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of weird. That's a big R.
I don't like it.
But he
It
looks
looks like someone stuck their hand on the screen then wiped.
Yeah,
Like
right.
it just doesn't. But
Yeah,
he looks great.
he
Yes.
does.
And I'm
He
so
does.
excited for the cape to be back. One of the highlights from Star Wars Celebration in 2016 was him coming out with the stormtroopers and the cape. I hope he does it again in Japan. I
That
think
would
it
be
would
cool.
really be cool if he did it again where he
That
came
would
out
be
in the cape.
awesome. Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. It doesn't surprise me that he's playing coy and being like, I'm not going to tell you anything because again, NDA. If anybody's secretive, it's Lucasfilm and Disney, and they want to keep the surprise. So I'm even amazed that they're saying he's in it this early. I thought they would have saved that for a trailer later on.
Yeah, I feel like maybe there's pressure on getting more eyeballs on this show because the first season didn't do well from a viewership standpoint.
Right. Yeah.
And people love Krennic, and I think I don't want to say it's the Liam Neeson, like worst kept secret for Andor, but it kind of is. We had been speculating he was going to be in this show. It only makes sense. He always talked about how much he loved doing it, and he would love to come back, and he fits right in the timeline. It's just it makes complete sense for him to be in this show. If he wasn't, I think it would be strange, actually.
Yeah. I'm just very surprised they're being so transparent about this, but I think they also let things leak by accident, like the date and everything. I don't think that was on purpose, but it is interesting, just like you said, that it's right up coming into Skeleton Crew territory, and they're kind of producing or promoting this show.
Yeah, I'm surprised because usually, the first couple of months of the year are a barren wasteland when it comes to entertainment news and movies coming out and stuff. Like, I'm surprised they didn't wait until Skeleton Crew had its run and then use those next couple of months to promote Andor. But what do I know? I'm just here. Got the 43 live views cooking,
Yep. And we also got to look at Cassian himself in another shot from Empire where it looks like he's in the TIE fighter that we were looking at earlier in that kind of 10-second clip because it's got those triangle lights above his head.
Well, no, look at the wall. That's some sort of Imperial facility. They got the Empire lighting. I don't think TIE fighters have that on the inside.
I know, but the shot before had those triangles above his head, and there's the chair behind him.
Yeah, unless
he's not in a TIE fighter, or he's in some type of control room or something.
Which makes me think in that clip, then he is not in a TIE fighter in that shot, and it could be someone else entirely in the TIE fighter.
Yeah.
It's Kino Loy busting himself out of prison. He built a TIE fighter instead of building the Death Star, and he just went nuts.
He does have some kind of rappelling outfit on or some type of flight suit because it's got all the kind of things where you hook yourself up to either a cable or something.
They're going James Bond with Andor season 2.
They are. I like it, though. He looks great. He really does.
He does look great, and I know
awesome.
how happy he was to come back, and this is it. That's it for Diego Luna in Star Wars. So don't rush to Andor season 2. Let it simmer, let it build, enjoy the ride to it, because we know even with a 12-episode Star Wars show, they come and go like that.
This is it. This is it.
That is it. And then Cassian, there's an article about Cassian as well, where he's essentially saying in season 2, he's a fully committed, a man committed to the rebellion, where season 1, he had to be convinced to understand what this all meant, and now he's fully all in with Luthen and everything they have going on. The quote is, "It's someone who has to ascend. There's a huge mountain for him to climb in order to become the guy we meet in Rogue One." And then obviously they talk about K2SO's return, Alan Tudyk coming back. And what I found interesting about this quote is, I don't know if Diego Luna must not be aware of that comic that they made where K2SO does meet Cassian for the first time. And they may scrub that out.
They might.
That I believe he met by breaking into an Imperial facility, and then they reprogrammed him there to get them out. And then there was this big firefight or something like that. They may do that in live action. I remember Matt Martin a few years ago said they'll never retell a story in canon in 2 different mediums. So
Mm-hmm.
either they're breaking that rule, or they're breaking the rule by saying that book we made, don't worry so much about that, or that comic, I should say, because he said, "quote From an audience perspective, they've probably made their own story about how Cassian and K2 got to work together. It tells you a lot about Cassian, that his best friend is a droid, and a droid he had to reprogram. But how did that actually happen, and who was he before? Those questions are going to be answered." So Diego Luna has no idea about that comic. I'm okay with that because I didn't read it.
I'm okay with it too.
But I'm also okay with it because it adds some levity and takes the seriousness that of canon obsession. Like, if the guy in the show, in the movie, playing the character, doesn't know all of the canon pieces, nor does Harrison Ford, nor does Mark Hamill, nobody in Star Wars. So I don't like, sometimes they try to do those gotcha things like they did with Charlie Barnett. What was his name?
Bartlett?
In Acolyte, when he messed up Luke and Anakin.
Talking about
Like,
Anakin.
people gave him so much crap. It's like, dude, Harrison Ford knows nothing about Star Wars. Diego Luna probably knows just enough. Like, they are actors. They don't need to be experts. They just need to convince us that they are that character and do a good job.
Not only that, I want the creators, producers, writers, directors, everybody involved in live action to have priority over the books and comics. I'm sorry.
Right.
If something makes more sense in live action to do it a certain way, or hey, they said that they met this way in the comics, but this is just a better story live action, I'm okay with that. Because I feel like time and time again, live action takes precedent over a comic or a book or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I hope I don't upset anybody by saying that, because that's not my intention, but it's the way it is. Star Wars started in movies, so that's what is top of the food chain, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody would argue that, and that's not a slight at the other mediums. It's just the movies are, like you said, the big potatoes.
Yeah.
All right. So, anything else from these stories? The full issue, I don't think, is out yet.
No, they're just teasing it out like they always do, right? They're making this a gigantic, long campaign instead of just giving you the whole article. I do like that they say that they're going to see, quote, an amount of planets and sets you're going to get to see. There are some familiar and new locations. We have openly said on this show numerous times that Obi-Wan Kenobi was it suffered from one location. It suffered from not real sets, whereas Andor seemed so alive, real, tangible, practical. The sets were just amazing, both on location and the ones that they built at Pinewood. So I'm excited to see where they go. Hopefully they don't go back to Tatooine for like the 70th time. But knowing I just said that, it's going to happen. But yeah, just show me new places in the galaxy. It's so big. We've only seen so many locations so far.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure Mando will go back to Tatooine, so we're definitely getting some more Tatooine in our life.
Yeah.
Do you want to hop over to the next story?
I do, because I'm going to be honest, it's a little messy.
It's messy. Actually, why don't we get to those 2 super chats before we get to that story?
Sure. So first up, we have David Ford. Thank you so much, man. He said, thanks for being a place of refuge from a cruel and brutal world. Looking forward to more Andor, my favorite Star Wars show. Which is funny because Andor could be described as cruel and brutal world when you're talking about the storyline. But we appreciate that, David. We're happy to be here for you, to escape to a galaxy far, far away. Things are a little crazy right now, and hopefully we're allowing you to escape a little bit, because it also lets us kind of have fun and smile and talk about something that is not real life, which is always fun. Christy, thank you so much for the super chat. Glad you could join us live. Christy says, love you guys. Thanks for being a safe space for all of us Star Wars fans. Just take my money already. You're too funny. We're happy to be here. Honestly, it's something I look forward to every week. And it's just something that's been consistent and lovely for 7+ years now, and I wouldn't change it for anything. So thanks for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, David. Thank you, Christy. All right, this next story.
Oh, wait, really quick. Make
sure.
sure to send in your questions with
Yes.
hashtag Ask the Resistance. We are going to be doing Ask the Resistance tonight at the end of our segment One with the Force, which is after this one. So make sure to send them in. Just hashtag Ask the Resistance in them just so we can note them when they come through. Thanks.
Plenty of questions out there to ask.
What?
Like, what does Yoda smell like? Do you think Yoda, he lives in like a swampy area? I don't know how his like hygiene is. Do you think Yoda smells?
Yeah, he's musty.
Oh, poor Yoda.
He probably smells a little rank.
Like in original trilogy, he's probably stinky, but in like the prequels, he probably had this like luxury shower and stuff.
He probably has really good moisturizer when he's living on Coruscant and has like a great skincare routine.
Yeah.
And then he goes to Dagobah and he's eating like beef root stew or whatever it is, like
root leaf stew. Yeah.
root leaf. Like, you know, it doesn't smell good.
Yeah.
You know, just
he's like,
it's a little rank.
He's like, well, what do you expect? I went from digital to latex. Like, it's hard to maintain. Okay.
Oh, God.
All right. Yes, please get the questions in, or we just won't do Ask the Resistance, and that's all right. But we do have this next story, which is the race for Rey and the future of the franchise on the big screen. So, first of all, hats off to this writer at the Hollywood Reporter for just going ham on the alliteration. Boris Kitt.
I was just about to say that. I was like, was he like, Rey starts with R, R, R. What word goes with R? Quick, race, R. Yes, perfect.
Yeah. Boris Kitt is like a go-to person for these scoops because he writes for a big trade and he usually drops one or so a week. I was so angry at him when he like spoiled cameos for Deadpool and Wolverine. So I was like, I'm not reading any more Boris Kitt stories. And then he's like, Star Wars news. I'm like, hello, Boris Kitt.
All right. You got me again, Boris.
Yeah. Stop spoiling stuff though, dude. We know you go to premieres and stuff like that. We all know. Just like let us enjoy it, my man. All right. So he is essentially saying, from what he's hearing, there is this jockeying for the use of Rey in two different ways. You have Lucasfilm and Disney who are trying to figure out the best way to move forward with the character. Well, actually, there's three things to this. There's that. There's the overall approach to how they're going to move forward in the future with Star Wars, whether it's more of the familiarity with the movies, but let the shows take risks. And then the other element to it is which movies are happening still with Rey, because like Jeff Snyder was saying, the Kinberg trilogy is going to be the 10, 11, 12. Rey's going to be in it. But then you still have the Charmin Obaid-Chinoy, Rey standalone, New Jedi Order movie. So, Lacey, there's a lot in this article. What do you make of all this? And do you have any takeaways, things that made you scratch your head or things you were excited about?
So this article, to me, I read the whole thing multiple times because it can be a little confusing. There's a lot of insiders. Now, the question is, you don't know if it's 3 insiders, 2 insiders, 4 insiders, 8 insiders. It's just insiders. They don't really go into, they'll always be like, and another insider said.
Yeah.
Who knows? That, stating that, I felt like it was just a little messy. Reason because Boris goes into the development of what's going on right now. And he mentions how Kinberg has been announced, which Lucasfilm, I don't think ever officially announced him. It was just kind of said via Hollywood Reporter. And then Simon Kinberg said, yep, that's me. We're doing this. And everyone was like, oh, okay, so it is legit. But they lay this out, and it's kind of wild to just see it written out this way, which is its own paragraph. It said some Lucasfilm directors are aware of what others are working on, while others are not. For instance, Taika Waititi is working on a Star Wars movie, which is hilarious because I think a trailer just came out today of him doing a Christmas short for Disney about an octopus. And I was like, Star Wars guy? What are you doing here? Anyway, Sean Levy has a feature project in the works. Donald Glover's Lando has moved from TV to film, and Rogue Squadron is still in development. These things have all been confirmed by Boris, apparently. And he goes into some of the quotes from the insiders, which is, quote, "It's a different way of development," says one insider. "There's so much parallel work going on." And then another one says, "You're being asked to create the New Testament. And no one can agree on anything. And there's a lot of second guessing about meanings." And then the one that I felt like was the big kind of kick in the face was, "Star Wars is a nostalgia-based enterprise, and they are running out of ways to create nostalgia." All these quotes to me were just kind of like, oof, big oof. And then he ends the article with, "To make a standalone," this is a quote from an insider, "to make standalone movies or continuing the Skywalker saga in any form is a fundamental question the company faces as it tries to move forward." That's why I kind of summed this up with mess, because you have multiple people here with insider information that have either worked on the movies or been close to the movies that are saying Lucasfilm can't get it together. Nobody knows what's going on. Everything's all over the place. And all we've really finalized is the Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, Grogu movie, which is happening, and this Rey movie, which the Rey movie is even kind of changing, evolving, as we've seen from Daisy Ridley over the course of her interviews. I mean, it makes me nervous. Articles like this make me so nervous because I'm like, how do they not have a plan in place? Especially when on Nerdy and Nice, not necessarily to plug our own other podcasts, but if you're interested in all pop culture things, check it out on Mondays.
It's really good.
It's really good. I'm not just saying that because I'm on it, but it's really good.
I
am. But oftentimes we're talking about for months now how tuned in and focused James Gunn is on his Superman, and not only Superman, but the DCU. How he has planned that all out and everything's good to go, and they're just going by the map now. And it seems like Lucasfilm is doing this weird, like, no, not here, but over here. But then this is not happening. This is going here. But then we're going to erase this. Don't forget about this. It's actually over here now. Yeah, it just seems like it's fumbling a little bit. What are your thoughts?
All right. So
that was a lot. I'm sorry. I was kind of talking all over the place, but
this
there was
actually
a lot.
this actually makes me feel reassured in a weird way. And I'll get to that in a minute. But first,
okay.
To try to connect dots from past things Daisy has said over the last month and who is doing what movie. So let's go back to what Daisy was saying about when she was asked for an update on the movie. She said, still very excited. There should be some imminent news. And then immediately after that, Stephen Knight is off the project. And I said, don't think that's the news, because she's not going to be sitting there smiling happy because someone left a project. There's something coming. Mm-hmm. Next week later, Simon Kinberg is doing a trilogy. Connect that to what Bob Iger has been saying for the last couple of years, which is we are going to do what we know works. Incredibles 2, Toy Story 5, Moana 2. Like, we were going to give people things that they love, things that people are going to go see in theaters, buy merch for. They're not going to say, like, but we're not going to do that with Star Wars.
They're going to stick by IP that works.
They are absolutely going to do that with Star Wars.
Yeah.
And this Simon Kinberg trilogy is absolutely going to be Star Wars episodes 10, 11, and 12. Mm-hmm. And I think that either means that the standalone Rey movie is sort of no more, because they don't have a writer still a year and a half later. They're probably like, all right, Simon gave us this pitch for the story. It involves Rey. He's going to write it. So we have the writer. He's going to write all 3 movies. Like, we're shifting Rey over here. What that means about Charmin Obaid-Chinoy, I don't know. But I can't imagine they're going to put all their chips back in to what works. You know, the big crawl, episode 10. You get those chills, those feelings. We're starting a brand new trilogy. Everyone's going to come back to go see it, to give it a shot. Mm-hmm. And you're not going to hand the keys for that to somebody who's never directed a feature film, in my opinion. So I think Charmin Obaid-Chinoy is out. I don't think that's because of anything she did wrong.
I think she's going to say she's busy or something.
I just think things moved. They couldn't get the writer going. They're going to say scheduling conflicts or something. And you're going to get an announcement of a very proven director who has delivered results. That's what's going to happen. And it's going to be
feel like it's John Levy. I'm telling you, I think it is.
I don't know. But the other part of this, and I saw Snyder said something about May 2027. And remember what I said? I was like, this is what's going to happen. The Rey movie is going to change to episode 10. They're going to release it for the 50th anniversary of Star Wars. I said, go back in the podcast and listen. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but it's like all these things that they're saying. I was like, yes, and it's not because I'm like, oh, I figured it out. It's common sense in how they're operating their business right now. And I'll be honest, I'm kind of excited about it. Life is difficult. I just posted a quote to Blue Sky today from George Lucas at the 2024 Cannes Film Festival. And he said, very similar to things he said in the past, but to get the latest and greatest from George, this is exactly what he said. I made Star Wars for 12-year-old kids. At the time, we were going through a dark period with the Vietnam War, and we needed to dream. That's why fans of the first trilogy didn't like the prequels. They weren't kids anymore. So the point of that article or that quote is we are going through some really rough, unstable times right now. And people do need that hope. That's why I've been talking about, I think Superman's coming out at the right time. I think Star Wars revisiting a trilogy isn't going to be sacrilege. You can still call 1 through 9 the Skywalker saga if you want. I think that was a made-up title anyway. They started calling that in 2017. It was never this Skywalker saga. It was the Star Wars saga.
I think they called that because Luke got killed off, but they didn't want people to focus on that. So they were like, well, it's his legacy that continues on.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So putting all those pieces together, and then the other part that makes me hopeful about this is they aren't rushing, and they're clearly making tough decisions. Who was the writer who was from Watchmen who was originally doing this?
Damon Lindelof.
Yeah, Damon Lindelof. They're like,
he came up with the whole pitch for Rey.
They're like, you're a great writer, not good enough. It's not enough.
I think he wanted an older Rey. That's ultimately
he wanted an older Rey. And then Stephen Knight, they're like, bring him in. Nope, not good enough. I don't know how long Kathleen Kennedy is going to be still around. She is producing this trilogy. Doesn't mean she has to be the president of Lucasfilm. I do think she wants to leave fans with something like that she could, stamp her flag in and be like, I'm leaving like this. I said that last week. She killed it out of the gate with Force Awakens, Rogue One, I think she wants to leave a good lasting legacy, and she is one of the greatest producers of all time. She's going to help produce these 3 films. That's another good thing. So this does give me hope that maybe they are like, look, we don't need to there's no clock on the wall saying when that clock hits 0, you better have a movie out. I mean, Bob Iger may be pressuring them to get moving, but I think they have the capital, creative capital to say we want to get this right. Because if we're doing 10, 11, and 12, you can't undo that. You have to make sure you're putting all your eggs into that basket. The best people from ILM, best writers, best directors. Kinberg's probably going to have support from people, and get a proven billion-dollar director in there. They got to go big. Release it with the 50th anniversary. Get all the old school people back in, and that's what's going to happen. You're going to get Star Wars Episode 10, May 2027. Rey is going to be leading that trilogy. John Boyega will be back playing a Jedi. It's going to be a big-name director to do the first movie. Kinberg's going to write all 3. And it's going to be a massive success. It probably won't make as much as The Force Awakens because the movie industry is just not what it was. We do get billion-dollar movies, but it's going to be massive. And it's going to bring a lot of fans back. And the hopeful person in me is expecting it to be a really good movie to kick off a new trilogy. And there's no better feeling than a Star Wars fan than the moments before a brand new trilogy, other than sitting in the seat watching that first one, because everything is ahead of you. You get your imagination going. You're wondering what's happening next. All that stuff. Remember what you felt like at the end of The Force Awakens, except the helicopter shot. I understand. But at the end of The Force Awakens, oh my God, where's this gonna go? And whether you like TLJ or not, those are great moments. Those couple of years leading up, because they are going to split these movies up by 3 years, I bet. They're going to give them time to make them. They're going to go the old school way with George Lucas. So it's going to be 2027, 2030, 2033,
Oh my
episodes
God,
10, 11, 12.
2033.
Yeah. Yep.
We're going to be old.
I'm going to be old, yeah. Damn right.
I said we going to be old.
You'll still be in your 40s.
Young chicken.
Yeah. So I don't know if you agree with that or not, but it's what we've been
it's all
speculating for a while.
Yeah, we've been talking about this for years that they were going to go back this route. We were kind of confused by their original choice of director for this Rey movie. I think that since Bob came back, they've scrapped everything that they had planned and kind of reworked it. And people need to remember that Solo was originally going to be a series. Hopefully makes Solo 2 happen. But, Solo Star Wars story is going to be originally multiples movies, 2 or 3. And then The Mandalorian was pitched as a Boba Fett series, which then turned into The Mandalorian. So I don't think it's weird at all that if Simon Kinberg came in with a really good story and they could slot Rey in, they're going to do it.
Yeah.
Whether she's in another movie or not. And I think that's where this is stemming from, a confusion of what's Rey going to be in. People are vying for Rey. I think that's what's happening, is you have people pitching them on where the story goes from here, and they now have their choice of where they're going to take this character. I just hope that it's more fun than dark.
I think it will be. I think it'll be right in the pocket of that vintage Star Wars. It's going to have the humor. It's going to have all that. Another thing that just came to mind for
Do you think it's a little messy though? Because you didn't really comment on that. Do you think this article is a little messy?
Well, the article isn't messy. The situation's messy.
That's what I'm saying. All the conflicting comments and quotes and whatever.
I will not take any slights at Boris Kit on this show. I'll tell you that right now.
Did I slight him?
I'm just kidding.
Oh.
It is messy, but it made me think of the article. What was it, last week we were talking about, where they said not all the executives at Lucasfilm even knew about this trilogy or something like that. So they said it was like a very underground developed thing. And when you take that, so keep that in mind. So like, if all the executives at Lucasfilm weren't aware that this trilogy was being cooked up, and then you go to the conflicting reports of it's a brand new trilogy, because we would have heard it was episodes 10, 11, 12. And then the other report saying like, no, it's definitely 10, 11, and 12. It's because those people didn't know. And now here we are. We're going to get that. Like, he's not creating a trilogy, and Disney's not going to be like, yeah, do the trilogy, but don't make it like the stuff that made a ton of money. It's like, no, they absolutely are. Get ready for it. It's coming. Get hyped. Don't worry about it being the continuation or anything like that. The Luke and family are gone. They're going to be referenced in memories and stuff like that. We're moving forward. So you're going to get your Falcon. You're going to get your Chewie, your BB-8, your Babu Fricks, like all the cool characters from the sequel trilogy. It's going to be the best of all of it. Yeah. So it's coming. It's going to happen. And I'm excited about it, honestly. And it really does seem like they're taking their time, making, uncomfortable changes to make sure they get it right. And that sounds like what they did with The Force Awakens. And I still think most people really enjoy that movie. So I think Star Wars does have a very bright future. And I think the next state of Star Wars we do, at least from my perspective, is going to be a big thumbs up. I think things are going in the right direction.
I agree. I just hope they bring back Willow at some point. Like, I really hope they bring that project back outside of Star Wars.
Yeah.
I do want to get to a couple of the super chats that came through during our conversation just before we head to the next thing. So first up, we have the Cali Kid. Awesome. Thank you so much for the super chat. Said it's nice to finally catch you live. Smiley face, like rock on hands.
Thank you, Cali Kid. I'm glad you're here. Thank you so much.
Thanks for being here. And then we have Will. What up, Will? How's it going, man?
Will.
Thanks for the super chat. He said there are currently 11 Star Wars films on the table. 11. A bunch of exclamation points. I love new Star Wars as much as the next fan, but I'd rather one truly great film than 11 duds. We're on the same page, man. I'm optimistic though. Shout out to TRB. Hope you're all well. And then he said, yeah, hands.
Dude. Yeah, we'll let that Will back on one day.
Skeleton Crew, Will? What up? You busy?
Yeah, what are you doing, buddy? You want to be a galactic goonie, Will? What do you think, buddy?
Thanks.
I wasn't going to reveal this exclusive news I received from my insiders, but Will,
am I an insider?
I heard that all of those 11 movies are actually going to be combined into one. So you are going to get your big, great movie. It's just going to be about
11 hours,
22 hours long. I think Will was expecting something. Sorry, buddy. No, I'm not in this. I'm not in the news game anymore. I'm not that guy. I'm just here to talk about the stuff people report about, and I'm much happier for it, to be honest. We do have another story, and thanks again, Will. Go, guys, follow Will the Force. I think he mostly posts on Instagram, but he has a channel.
YouTube. Yep.
Great dude. He was on with us with the Acolyte. Down to earth, fun, gives in real honest opinions. He's a good dude. He's one of the good ones. And we have a segment named after him. Just kidding. All right. Next story is another really cool one. Michael Giacchino, as we know, came to the rescue and wrote an incredible score for Rogue One. And now his son is joining a galaxy far, far away. Off the heels of the Penguin knockout smash hit for Max. He did the
which is funny. His dad did the Batman.
Yep.
So he's doing Penguin, and then now he's doing Skeleton Crew, and his dad did
Family Affair. Yes. But I know people have issues with nepotism, but the kid made killer music for the Penguin, and I have a feeling he's going to crush it for this next thing because he is doing Skeleton Crew. So we have the son of Michael Giacchino, Mick Giacchino. If you did watch The Penguin, obviously pay attention to the score. It's going to probably sound different because you make things based on what the content is. But he's doing Skeleton Crew. So, Lacey, you haven't watched Penguin yet, though, right?
I have not, but I am hyped for the Skeleton Crew. So I couldn't care less what he did for Penguin. I'm just so pumped that only because I'm not interested in that. But I'm interested that I know he's a Nepo baby, but I love that they're keeping it in the family. I like that it's his son. I love that it's the younger kid show, seemingly Skeleton Crew with the kind of Stranger Things, young kid vibe, Goonies, as we've been talking about. Oh my God. John, I am so excited for this show. This has been the show I'm most excited for.
Bro.
Well, I mean, I've been more excited about it than Andor or Acolyte or anything. Like the moment they announced the show, I was in. And then they showed we met the kids at Celebration, not like face to face, but like in the panel, they brought them out and they were adorable. And the idea that this show is going to really focus on the practical effects and puppetry and creatures and stuff like that. I'm in, I'm fully in, and I can't wait. I'm counting down the days to get to watch this show.
I completely agree. I am very excited for sort of that palate cleanse because we came off, the Acolyte, which is very heavy, dark, not a lot of humor, not a lot of fun. And we're getting, maybe some old school Star Wars mixed in with 80s Spielberg vibes as they've been promoting it as. Yeah, I'm very excited. I did really enjoy the music he made for the Penguin. Sounds like a chip off the old block. It has that Giacchino style, and I'm sure his dad obviously, taught him, and there's something to that. So, I'm excited to see what he comes up with. So yeah, cool story there. All right, we do have One with the Force, which is our next segment of the show.
The Force is with me, and I'm one with the Force.
All right, Lacey, why don't you run the show on this one?
All right, guys. One with the Force, a little different from Will of the Force. This one, the question or situation or scenario, we're only allowed to pick one answer. No this or that. No, I'm stuck between two. It's only one. So we're going to kick it off with what one stunt in Star Wars history that sorry, I read this wrong. What is one stunt in Star Wars history that you would love to attempt yourself? For example, Luke and Leia rope swinging across the chasm. Is it chasm or chasm?
I usually say chasm.
Chasm in the Death Star.
Instead of saying it is chasm, I would try to like be nice. I'm like, I usually say chasm.
Oh my gosh. My sisters were just here, and it was a week of moments like that they kept bringing up that I would say stupid stuff.
Yeah.
That I was what was I talking about? Oh, Kelly embarrassed me, but I was like in high school or middle school or something. We were reading from Cosmopolitan, which was like this sketchy, like, ooh, we're too young for this magazine back in the day. And there was an article that was like, if you're trying to spice things up, wear some lingerie for your, for your boyfriend.
Oh,
and
boy.
my little sister, she's 2 years younger than me. She was like, "You mean lingerie, you moron?" I was like,
Oh,
"Okay, fair."
boy.
But anyway, chasm in the Death Star. John, what stunt would you do?
What was the question again?
What one stunt would you do in Star Wars?
I would do Obi-Wan diving through the glass window on the skyscraper in Attack of the Clones.
Attack of the Clones. Oh, out into, like, he goes to catch the droid.
Yeah,
That's just blue screen though.
Yeah, but that is the most BA scene in Star Wars to me. Like suicide dive through a glass window to try to just catch some droid that was trying to kill her. And if people knew that I was the stunt guy for that, they'd be like, dude, yeah.
He really had to trust the Force with that one.
And I would get to hang out with Ewan McGregor. We'd probably go out drinking, having a good time. He'd be like, so this is how you should approach it. I'd be like, yeah, you got it, buddy. Dude, Ewan, we're best friends now, and I'm your stunt man.
He's definitely an actor that stays in touch with all his people. Like, they have group chats and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, yeah, we would be on a group chat. We'd probably have our own, like one-on-one friendship, best friendship, if you really think about it. Okay. Be like, once upon a time in Hollywood, I'll drive him around.
My stunt is definitely the Rey jump in Rise of Skywalker. That is sick. That we got to talk to Eunice Huthart with.
Oh, the which one? Which one?
The one where she jumps over the TIE fighter.
Oh, yeah.
In the desert, which she said Daisy Ridley actually did it, but they didn't use her jump. They used a stunt double's jump because, probably looked a little bit better, which is understandable.
We tried to get that stunt woman on the show. Couldn't get it.
Yeah, we couldn't. But we did talk to Eunice Huthart, who is amazing. Legend. One of the best moments I've ever had on this podcast. And she talked about this stunt specifically. Go back and watch it. But it just sounded so awesome. And I would probably be scared out of my pants to do it, but I would do it to say I did it. It just seemed really cool. And then like the shot, like it's done at like golden hour in the desert. So the shot is just beautiful. Yeah, I would pick that one.
That's a good pick.
Yep. Oh my gosh. Someone in the comments, Ben Bamboo, says, "Don't be embarrassed, Lacey. For years, I thought mid-drift was how you said midriff." Midriff.
All right.
All right. People in the comments making fun of me. It's fine. It's fine. All right. All good. Next situation. Next question is, if you can bring any Star Wars character, ooh, this is a tricky one, John, back to life.
Character.
Shut up. Stop. For a second, I thought you were serious. If you can bring any Star Wars character back to life to continue in a future stories, but in order to be able to do this, the price you have to erase is Grogu from existence. So in this scenario, The Mandalorian came out, it happened, but Grogu was never a thing. Who is the character you would re-alive, and would you do it if you had this power, John?
I would re-alive Luke Skywalker, and he wouldn't have died in The Last Jedi. He would have been in The Rise of Skywalker, and who knows thereafter. the more time passes, I still like The Last Jedi. I just think about it now that we're removed from it. I'm like, why? How do you kill Luke Skywalker in the second movie? I know he's supposed to be the Obi-Wan, but it's Luke's story. But I've grieved. I've come over terms with that. So I'd re-alive Luke, and I would do it. You know, Grogu, it's been fun, but I got to bring Luke back and see what he can do in 9.
That is a great answer and is definitely one of the possibilities I had going around in my head, but I think it's going to be pretty straightforward that I'm going to say Ben Solo. I don't think Ben Solo should have died. I don't think it's hopeful. I don't think it's optimistic. I don't think it makes sense in the story because why would Han and Leia sacrifice themselves for their kid just to die? It just, to me, doesn't make sense. And Grogu would have to die.
No, just not exist. He goes through no pain because he didn't exist.
Oh, right. Was never created. So
Yeah.
Grogu would have to not exist so that Ben Solo could have a good, happy ending story.
I got to put this comment on the screen. That's my best friend, Pants. And he's calling me out because I made myself the Brad Pitt character in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood by saying
I'm
doing
sorry.
the biggest stuntman.
Is Matt's nickname Pants?
Carl Pants. Yes. Yes.
Okay, you just said Pants, and I have no
Well,
idea what that's about.
Yeah, you can call him Pants. That's allowed.
All right.
But yeah, you called me out, buddy, and you're right. You're absolutely right.
But yeah, that's a pretty obvious answer. I just I've said this before. It's more than the romance angle. It's literally because I want Han and Leia to not have died and sacrificed themselves for their son not to live. That's my big thing.
That's fair.
All right. So then next we have pick one scene or line that you would change in your favorite Star Wars movie. And what change are you making? Go ahead, John.
It's a change back. I never understood why they changed this line. It's not a plot affecting line, but it was so perfect, and I don't get why they did it, and they didn't even use the original actor to redo it. It is Darth Vader, after fighting Luke, saying, "Bring my shuttle," as opposed to what they put in the special edition, which they didn't even use James Earl Jones for. He now says, "Alert my Star Destroyer to prepare for my arrival." But in the original version, he says it in such a menacing way.
Mm-hmm.
He says, "Bring my shuttle." And you basically just took away some James Earl Jones from us to put a longer line in, George, because the frame, the shot is longer. I think that was the weirdest change. I don't care what explanation he ever gave for it. I would change that back. The Empire Strikes Back is the greatest movie of all time. So the way I would change it is to bring it back in that spot the way it was before. Bring my shuttle instead of alert my Star Destroyer to prepare for my arrival.
All right. That's solid. That's a great answer.
What about you?
Not to default to a lame answer I've given before. And
I set this up on a T for you.
You really did. From my favorite Star Wars movie, I'm going to go with The Force Awakens because there's nothing I would change from Return of the Jedi. The helicopter shot at the end of the Force Awakens, I hate it so much. John brought it up earlier. For those of you that don't understand and are new to the podcast, there is a ridiculous shot at the end of The Force Awakens where there's the big, beautiful John Williams crescendo, and Luke is giving Rey that kind of soap opera stare down before they cut to commercial. And they cut to this ridiculous helicopter shot around the island that is clearly I would guess that in the editing room, JJ said, well, we had to pay for that shot, so it needs to go into the movie somewhere. And that's why they put it in. It makes no sense. It's very jarring. It doesn't work with the cut. I hate it.
You should make a version of it with the helicopter sounds in it.
It's just, see, okay, but to my defense, once I brought that up with you, did you notice it now? Like when you watch it, are you like, wow, this is a very weird shot?
Yeah, if they had just kept it on him and then it faded out, you know, yeah. I'm with you.
It's so weird. It's such a, like, I said at the beginning of the show, I just spent last night editing together our new intro for Galactic Goonies. I'm so hyped for it, by the way. But some of the things I really love is cutting videos to music or working with the action of the camera or transitions that smoothly go from shot to shot so well that you can't tell that it's a change. Like, that's the point of filmmaking, is you're not supposed to be able to notice the edits. When there are so many edits that it's jarring or it just feels weird, makes you feel awkward, that's bad editing. That you're not supposed to notice the edit. It's supposed to be so smooth that it's not even there. And this shot was just so stupid. And if I had a chance to tell JJ, I'd be like, I would ask him, why did you include this shot? That would be my one question to JJ Abrams. That, or why didn't you have Rey be a Kenobi?
I mean, I think he wanted to, and then
anyway,
yeah,
I didn't mean to go on a tangent, but it's just something that I feel like they've gotten very, very lazy with editing sometimes. And I'm not saying with the movies, but with like trailers and stuff, it just seems a little lazy. And the choices people make get a little too crazy with, the creative vision, that they forget the basics of filmmaking. And it's the idea of like using an edit to be like, wow, look at this cool shot. And it's like, okay, but it's supposed to smoothly tell the story. Like, you're not supposed to have the edit stand out.
All right, so you hate it. We get it.
I hate it. I got it. Yep. Thank you so much for your time.
This podcast is the church of JJ, though, so watch.
I love JJ. Look, I love JJ. Not a big fan of his daughter's music, but I love JJ.
All right.
And I'm only saying that because I keep seeing her all the time, and like she's on every like top 10 list now.
Yeah.
Speaking of
so the question was what scene or line? So yeah. All right. Let us go into our final segment.
I've been wondering, what are midichlorians?
Big time. Big time. All right, Lacey, what do we got for questions? We have a super chat?
We do. First up, we have a super chat from Andrew. What up, Andrew? How's it going, man? Hope you're well. How's everything going? Thanks for the super chat. He says, #AskTheResistance. What's up with Hasbro releasing figures and merch prior to a show? What a marketing concept, huh? Seriously, though, cool to see those out now. Have a great weekend. Thank you so much. Yeah, they're doing exactly what I had hinted at a couple weeks ago, which they're doing Gift of the Galaxy as their campaign name, which I had said that they were going to do something like that. And they're doing weekly announcements with Skeleton Crew. So the funny thing about corporations, big companies, studios, etc., is they'll try things, and if they don't hit, it's whatever. If they do really well, they will beat that concept into the ground. They will keep doing it and doing it and doing it because it worked the first time so well that that's what they fall into. And I'm not just saying for entertainment. I'm saying any corporation, any company, any type of marketing department. Once you figure out what works, like, you might tweak a couple things, but you stick with it. And Mando Mondays really did well for them. Like, changed their budgets, made ridiculous amounts of money for them, saved them from a horrendous 2020, which could have been a bad 2020 and future years. So they're going to stick by what works. Then they don't have to deal with stores and stocking of shelves. It's all online. They get the promotion that carries on throughout multiple weeks. Star Wars gets that as well on their website with StarWars.com. It's not surprising that they're sticking by this model. And it also came directly from Hasbro's mouth. 6 months ago, when I talked to Hasbro via Roundtable, that's what they said they were going to do. They said, we have no plans to do in-store stuff. It will always be digital online events with a live stream, announcements, and week-to-week stuff in correspondence to a show. I think that hopefully they'll announce more stuff leading into Christmas, because, this is the big money-making season for toy companies. So it'd be a little silly not to, but we'll see how it goes. Any thoughts, John?
No, I'm not the biggest toy collector, but I do think they should always try to put this stuff out leading up to a movie. I took a picture the other day. I totally forgot to tell you. So I took Johnny to Walmart to get, I promised him he can get Pokemon cards.
Oh, he's in Pokemon. Isn't that insane that like we were? Oh well, I don't know if you were. I was into Pokemon when
My
I was
brother
little.
was. Yeah.
Yeah, and it stayed true all this time.
Yes. So I was there and they had these figures. We saw them promoting these, but look at the price on that. I don't know if you can see it. But
I can't.
784 for that Darth Vader.
Hmm.
I mean, that's really reasonable.
Yeah.
Moff Gideon,
We're
784.
better off waiting till it goes to like a Five Below or a Dollar Tree or something. Usually Five Below, where
Star
they're
Wars
like,
action figure.
yeah,
What you've seen those at Dollar Trees?
at least Five Belows. Yeah.
But I guess my point is like we're finally getting figures that people can afford, and if like you're like I'm going to spend $20 on my kid, for these toys, you can get him 3 figures, and he can actually or he or she can actually play a story. Whereas
Yes,
for
I
a
agree
while
with
it was like
you.
$20 for one figure.
Yeah.
So, but I'm happy for Andrew, and actually Andrew probably doesn't even care about that at this point because that Ray story like had to have had Andrew bouncing off the walls because basically it said like everybody wants Ray in their movie, and Andrew's probably like,
He had
yes, finally.
it was in the chat with yay hands.
Oh yeah, so exactly. So yeah, thank you very much, Andrew. Can't wait to hang out with you in Japan, buddy. Thanks for the super chat and cheers, because I know you're gonna have a probably nice crispy beer this weekend or two. So enjoy it. All right.
Next up, we have Sarah. What up, Sarah? She said, "Who is your second favorite Star Wars villain, John?
Sheevy Babes Palpatine.
Who's your first?"
Darth Vader.
Oh, I didn't know if that was your first. I feel like that's everybody's first, but I would say probably. I kind of feel like it's Krennic. Krennic is like really good.
Really good. That is a
He's
good
a
pick.
very good villain. Yeah,
So you're probably gonna like him more. See more of him.
I know, which is funny because I would say that Rogue One isn't even my favorite movie, but like he's just such a good villain.
Very good.
Such a good villain.
Yeah.
All right. And last but not least is Frank Grande. What up, Frank? In the chat, he said, hashtag ask the resistance. What character would you love to see in Andor season 2, even if it's only for a few seconds? I'm assuming he's talking cameos. I'm going to say R2D2 C-3PO. Those are my go-tos. I would love to see them there. It would make sense because they're in Rogue One.
Yeah. How about Admiral Akbar?
Ooh, because he got roasted in The Last Jedi.
Yeah, and then, he obviously works closely with Mon Mothma. She's all over Andor. A Mon Cala action going. They're in Rogue One with Radis. So why not a little Admiral Akbar? Even if it's, a quick little message, just a little hopeful message from Akbar.
Yeah, that's a good answer. I said C-3PO and R2D2, but I do have to mention that before I was on this podcast, before John knew me, before The Last Jedi came out, Admiral Akbar was like my whole personality. That character was like everything to me. So imagine my surprise going into The Last Jedi and he gets murdered.
He did.
Straight up fried calamari at the beginning of that movie. I was distraught. And then they killed Luke. I was like, this is the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. And I was so upset. But it just reminded me of that because like I still love Akbar. He's right behind me right here. It's like one of my favorite action figures. We've talked about that before. Like, what would you take out of your house? Like, this is the guy.
That's it.
But he's famous on Star Wars Celebrations Instagram from years ago. And then I got yelled at by Disney. That's a story for another time. But yeah, I very much love him, and I was very sad to see. So I would also love to see him in Rogue One. I felt like he was an unnecessary death. Do you agree with his death?
Yeah, like he's just such like he's an important role, but when you talk about those creature characters, it's like you take them seriously, but you're like, can you just leave him alone?
Yeah, he didn't have to die. He could just not been there.
Yeah, like they like JJ ended up like writing a son for Akbar in because he probably like hated that they killed Akbar. So then we get Junior and Rise of Skywalker. But it's like Akbar should have been a part of that celebration.
Junior, which was voiced by Chris Terrio.
Yeah.
So like I felt like it was a little bit of a mocking thing that you have the guy that I love so much gets killed, and then they have the guy that then kills Ben Solo in the next movie voicing the son of Admiral
He
Akbar.
voiced it, or he was in the suit?
I think he voiced it.
Really?
Yeah. Frank Granda in the chat says, at least in the comic version of The Last Jedi, there's a panel where Admiral Akbar turns to his crew and says, "It's been an honor," right before the ship blows up. Wish they did that at least in the movie. I wish they didn't do any of it. And Akbar was like, yo, I'm going to sit this one out. We're good.
I mean, yeah. I mean, looking back, Rian Johnson did some damage.
I just want to know, like, was he okay when he wrote it? Like, was he all right that he was like, yo, everybody's got to die?
Ryan goes to, and this is all lighthearted, like, let's all calm down. But like Ryan goes into Kathleen Kennedy's like, all right, here's my script. And she's like, all right, well, give me the meat and potatoes. Like, what's Luke and Leia doing in this? He's like, all right, Leia blasted into space. She's going to be in a coma for half the movie. She's like, oh, okay. She's like
Spark Notes.
Isn't she one of the most vocal and like fun characters to watch? Yeah. But don't worry. Later on, she'll look out to the horizon. It's like, oh, okay. So what about Luke then? He's dying. It's like,
dead.
Okay. Anything else? We're just killing Akbar for the hell of it. Okay.
I feel like what happened was they had Rogue One where Tony Gilroy was like, yo, everybody dies. And they were like, genius. Love it. Let's do it. And so then Ryan was like, oh, so like I can kill everybody? And they were like, whoa. And he's like, because I killed everybody. And they were like, ooh.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's how we survive. Killing what we love. Not fighting what we hate, but killing what we love. All right, we're just having some fun. All right, that will take us to the end of the show. Thank you so much to everybody who listened, watched, and is being a part of TRB. It means a lot to us. Like Lacey said at the top, there's a lot of stuff cooking behind the scenes here in the base. Very excited for what we have planned for 2025. And of course, for Galactic Goonies, our Skeleton Crew coverage starts on December 4th. We're going to have some updates coming to you soon for our merch. A lot of changes coming there. And one of those, if you're watching on YouTube, the Galactic Goonies is going to be on a shirt soon for you to pick up. And you know what's cool about that, though? You could wear that shirt, and it's not like, this is the TRB show. It's just like people will get it, like Galactic Goonies. It's a fun little thing. So, but yeah, like we said before, make sure you're subscribed and all that good stuff. Follow us on Blue Sky, TRB Podcast, in addition to everywhere else. And our Patreon, patreon.com/TRB Podcast. Our Patreon is a lifeblood for us here at TRB. You know, the two of us have day jobs, families. It's just the two of us doing all the work behind the scenes here.
What is sleep?
Your support allows us to not only do this, but allowed us to create another show, allows us to attend events, and allows us to do what we're about to attempt as we take the next phase of TRB into 2025. So thank you for all of your support. If you are able to, tiers start at $5. Again, that's patreon.com/TRB Podcast. And a special thank you to our generals and spice runners in the base. Generals Carmelo, John RISI, Jetta Rosewater, Frank Grande, Nick Kratz, Chris Morales, Brian Smith, Danny, Mike Ramori, Brendan McLaughlin, Sneaky Zebra, Dave Hornack, Jolton Jedi, DiMaggio, Colin Cormier, Stephen Garrow, and Sachi. And the Spice Runners, David Probus, Neil Shaw, Kendall Gelner, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, and the Fort Worthian. And everybody who's in the base, whether you check in once in a while, only when Star Wars is on, or you're a diehard, we love you. Thank you so much. For me, Johnny Hoey on Blue Sky forever. Until someone buys that out. So till Lex Luthor rolls in and buys Blue Sky. But I am on X also. But Blue Sky for me. Follow me on Blue Sky, Johnny Hoey. Lacey, how about you?
I do want to get to a super chat really quickly before we get out of here from the Cali Kid. Thank you so much for the super chat. He said, have you read about how much Christian Bale loves Star Wars? He's been said he's in talks to be in Star Wars for certain projects, including Beckett and Solo. I mean, it's not surprising. A lot of people want to be in Star Wars. Keanu Reeves wanted to be in Star Wars.
Hawke is desperate to be getting Star Wars.
Wants to be in Star Wars. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's really awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah, everything John said Definitely follow us on social media. Leave us a review if you have a chance. Share with a friend. Like this video if you're watching. Let us know on social media how we're doing. Make sure to pick up our coffee at weirdbrothers.com. It supports a small business with veterans in the podcast, as well as you can get 20% off a Gentle Giant with the code RESIST20. It still works. So if anyone's wondering, they're really nice over there, and they gave us a code so that you guys can pick up some really cool Star Wars stuff. I'm sure they're going to have Skeleton Crew stuff coming up. That's a nice minute right there. And as always, just thank you for your support. It really means a lot. There's a lot going on in the world and in life and with us. But you guys have stuck with us through all the changes this year and, what's to come. We're so excited about Japan. It's going to be a trip of a lifetime. I'm already looking at I have to get those fluffy pancakes. I'm on a mission. But besides that, really excited to celebrate Star Wars in a new country as always. And we've been working really hard on a lot of stuff, and it means a lot to us. So definitely follow us everywhere you can follow us, and may the Force be with you.
All right. And follow Lacey at Lacey Gilleran on all social
media. Oh yeah, that too. You're on Blue Sky, right? You're all on there? I was on there before you, John. Man,
yeah, but people know me as Blue Sky.
You're doing the banana thing again. I was saying bananas for a month.
I literally have a Blue Sky. Look at that.
Months I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of bananas. And then John says it for one show and everyone's like, oh, the banana guy. And I'm like, oh my God. John, I've been on Blue Sky for a very long time. Yes, I'm on Blue Sky.
That's all you had to say. You didn't have to jockey for position on social media.
It's not jockeying. It's just you come at me
social media is so much harder than you.
No, that's not what I said. But you come so hard that you're like, have you ever considered this? And I'm like, yes, I was on there a long time ago. Thank you.
All right. That'll do it for us. We will be back with you next Thursday with TRB Live. For all of you nerds who like other stuff, Nerdy and Nice on Monday, we are ruling out a fan favorite casting for an upcoming franchise. And we're going to have some more chats about all the other nerdy stuff we like talking about in movies and TV. So follow Nerdy and Nice on its own feeds. If you like how we talk Star Wars, you'll probably like how we talk about the other stuff. So we appreciate you helping us try to grow that podcast. But that's it. Have a wonderful weekend. If you're in the Northeast, stay warm. It's getting cold out there. And we'll see you next time right here on the Resistance Broadcast. See you around, kids.